Hi guys, welcome back to Father and Son Investing. Today's video will be short. The topic is don't buy more I bonds before April 12th. I'll talk about why and explain my rationale all in 6 minutes or less. All right, what is magical about April 12th? Well, it is the day that the Consumer Price Index numbers will be released for March of 2023. Of course, we know that March of 2023 is the last month that is going to get calculated into your I bond inflation or variable rate. Remember, they use September and they use March. Those are the 2 months that count, and so those numbers will get released on April 12th. I think there's no reason to buy more I bonds before April 12th, and there really might not be a reason to buy I bonds after April 12th, depending on what those numbers look like. But you can at least calculate what your variable inflation rate will be for your I bond on April 12th. If you've seen my videos before, then you've seen the spreadsheet. The data comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. If you're not familiar with the CPIU number, the latest one is 299.17. You can just easily comprehend what this means by going to the baseline, which is 1982 to 1984, and knowing that something that cost $100 in 1982 to 84 during that baseline would now cost you $299. That helps you understand what this CPIU number is. So the latest one is 299.17 from January, and remember I said that we use March and September. Here's the formula, and we can keep track of what the variable inflation rate would look like. Right now, you're looking at just about 0.8% on a semi-annual basis. So when we annualize that, you're going to get 1.6% yield. That's the inflation rate on an I bond right now. Now, we still have 2 more months to go in here. We have February's data, and then we will have March's data. Let's just get a peek at what February's data might look at when that comes out later this month. Now, the best place that I've found to get a rough estimate on what inflation looks like is over at the clevelandfed.org using their Nowcast. These are not the same kind of numbers, though, that go into calculating your I bond inflation. These are adjusted numbers, and remember that the I bond rate uses unadjusted numbers. Nevertheless, it gives us at least an estimate here. Right now, as of March 4th, the Cleveland Fed is estimating that month over month, the CPI will increase by 0.54%. Now, that is less than what it was the previous month, where unadjusted it was 0.8%. We can also start to get a little sneak peek at what they're estimating for March. Remember that at this site, this data improves as the month goes on. We've only got 3 days worth of data here, but right now they're estimating for March that the CPI will be less, that they're estimating 0.28%. I think that decrease there for March is significant, and I'm going to explain why. Here's why I think it's significant. Housing. Housing makes up more than 40% of the Consumer Price Index. Now, housing prices, of course, were quite high during last year, but have been dropping significantly. How much? We're going to borrow a slide from Jerome Powell that he used back in November of 2022 in a speech that he gave, where he showed that various measures of housing, we're talking rent and new home purchases, were on a steep decline. So all of these here are various measures of housing that you can look at over here. This red line shows the PCE housing services, and what you get out of this information is the actual prices are on a steep decline, while the measured prices in the PCE and the CPI are indicating that housing is still going up. Why is that? Well, they use a rather strange way of measuring housing. To explain this, I'm going to borrow from a video that I made about a month ago, and then I will quickly be back. Think of the way that BLS collects this data as having 6 baskets, and each of those baskets are going to get sampled every 6 months. That means that you'll have data for basket number 1 in January and July, and so on, February and August, etc. Now, that is a distinct difference than the price of eggs getting calculated every month. So if we look at that, there's going to be a significant lag in the data, both on upswings of prices and on downswings of prices. Now, I'm just going to quickly borrow from a slide at the Brookings Institute to show you how there is a significant lag then between the Case-Shiller Index, that's a measure of housing in America, and the CPI Shelter Index. We can see that the Case-Shiller Index here in this darker blue tends to mirror the CPI Housing Index with a significant lag in there. So when the Case-Shiller index was starting to go up, we see that the CPI index was still going down here back in 2020, and then it started coming up significantly after the Case-Shiller index was going up. What we see now is that the Case-Shiller index is going down. Now this slide here is a little old, but I wanted to show you the lag. Let's give you the current data. This comes from CoreLogic, where you can go to their website and get data on housing in America. And you will see here this steep decline going on. Now the latest numbers that we have are December of 2022. And then just one more graph to illustrate the point. We can see that for December's data, housing in these various markets all down. Look at San Francisco and Seattle, down by double digits. So let's just hammer home the point and finish here about why you shouldn't buy your I-bonds before April 12th. Well, we see that the Cleveland Fed shows that they think that CPI will be coming down for March's data, and there is this housing implosion that's about to happen when it comes to calculating the inflation rate. We see that housing prices and rent prices are on a steep decline. We see that the data is lagging behind, and at some point that's going to start to show. I think it might start to show in March's data that comes out in April, such that it might negate actually the increase that happened for January's numbers. So am I buying I-bonds before April 12th? No way. Am I going to buy I-bonds after April 12th? Possibly, but actually I think if I'm buying new I-bonds, I might be waiting until May 1st to see what the new fixed rate is going to be. That's all I have for you today. I hope it was interesting enough to give us a thumbs up, and we'd love to have you as a subscriber. Until next time, enjoy your investing.